The 2021 F1 season saw the implementation of a budget cap. This has enabled teams with lower budgets to stick to the upper categories because they wouldn't be allowed to spend as much money as they like. At the end of the day, F1 is a business and big fishes eat the small ones. So, if you don't have enough funds to run a team, you might as well be out of the door. However, this has turned into a very dangerous business, as the top teams were spending huge amounts of money to make the best car and therefore make the sport monotonous. So the goal was to limit the spending and make the sport fairer, as teams would have the same cap to reach. But will this budget cap influence the performance of F1 teams in the future? And will the teams be able to implement all of the upgrades needed without going above the cap? Stick with us until the end of this video and we'll explain the difficulty that the 2022 budget cap is causing F1 teams. Teams didn't have a problem with budget caps last year, but are very much struggling this year to keep things regarding the financial spending for the car. This happens because of one strange yet interesting phenomenon. Last year, the philosophy of an F1 car was pretty much the same as it was in the previous 7 years since the turbo hybrid era was introduced. This meant that F1 teams had a period of 7 years to develop a car, and they weren't rushing necessarily to do it. In 2021, all of the teams have already perfected the car to their financial possibilities, and there wasn't anything of an innovation that could be added. Therefore, the direct risk of their budget was very low, and the one thing that F1 teams were spending a lot of money is for repairments of an already finished design of an F1 car. For example, last year in Jeddah, Mick Schumacher crashed the car so badly that it split into two pieces, very similar to what happened last weekend in Monaco. This has cost the team $1 million in repairments, and imagine if they already have gone over the cap with upgrades that would enhance their performance. 2022 is a year in which new regulations were implemented, the biggest ones since the turbo hybrid era. Some things were impossible to predict, such as the porpoising problem. This has caused drivers to even file complaints to FIA as they want the organization to lift the minimum weight limit, because that is one of the biggest changes from this season. Cars now weigh more, they aren't as big and wide as last year, and tires have gone from 13 inches to 18 inches. But how does this hurt the budget cap exactly? Well, so far, every team has had to bring up a huge package of upgrades, and it's not even round 8 in Azerbaijan. They had to opt for this solution because the phenomenon of porpoising has caught everyone off guard, and the teams have been spending a massive amount of money to change things in car design, car weight, floor design, etc. This is causing them a very big headache in the financial sector, and now they have to think twice before they sign a check that will release funds for a certain matter. The only team that hasn't bought huge packages of updates, but small ones on every race, is Red Bull. And it seems like they are the only team that got a grasp on the porpoising problem, as their car seems the most balanced of all cars on the grid. Certain rumors have transpired that some teams like Mercedes and even Red Bull are very close to reaching the budget cap so early in the season. What's even more painful is that Mercedes hasn't been very good throughout the first 7 races, meaning that the updates themselves didn't really help them in a huge perspective. When everybody thought that they had the porpoising problem under control in Barcelona, a track where they bought a massive package of upgrades, Mercedes has had yet another moderate performance in Monaco. What does this mean for the team? If they go over the budget cap, certain penalties will be applied to them. But due to the inflation that has caught the whole world off guard because of the raging war in Ukraine, F1 teams have pushed FIA to increase the budget cap. The argument they have is very solid, as nothing costs remotely the same as it used to cost before February. If Mercedes doesn't find out a quick solution for their porpoising problem, and if it doesn't unlock the full potential of their car, chances for them to fight for the top spot in the championship will be gone. Not like they have any chance now, as Red Bull and Ferrari are totally eating them up in the championship ladder, making them look like a solid midfield team. Considering the fact that they have a 7-time world champion in their car that returned back for a revenge mission after last year's fiasco, this is far from good news for Mercedes. Therefore, a very interesting season is ahead of us, as we cannot wait to see how will F1 teams find a financial compromise in their own rows.